That was a different win than any that since I've been here. Okay, and here's the reason. Okay, in the division and down the stretch in football, they talk about two things that win down the stretch. They talk about defense and they talk about running the ball. Okay, well, I think we got 7 sacks defense. Understand that this was a very important game. I was very proud of how it was obvious from the jump that this was your game to have, and you guys earned that.
Oh, what is up, Straight Talk Society? This is your host, Trevor, and I'm back with another episode of the Dolphins Deep Dive right here on the Straight Talk Society. So we are going to go over the Black Friday game. The Miami Dolphins, good guys, took care of business over the AFC East rival, New York stinking football Jets. So we do have a lot to get into today, but y'all know this show, Dolphins Deep Dive, is no longer than 30 to 40 minutes, depending on if I have panel guests or not. So before we get into Friday's game, which I will echo the sentiments as we don't agree on much when it comes to football, but having games on Thursdays and Fridays is terrible. The play on the field sucks. The risk of injury is heightened by like 1 million, and we're going to get into another injury report later. But the play on the field, so you had 3 games on Thursday, all of them suck. I say the Lions Packers game was good just because it came down to the last minute. But 49ers Seattle sucked, and I forget what the other game was. But that also sucked. Then you had the Dolphins and the Jets on Friday, which was the first time the NFL did a Black Friday game. So again, everybody tells me that nobody cares about the Dolphins. Bullcrap, because they put the Dolphins in spotlight positions all the time, just because right now they are one of the most interesting teams in the NFL. And speaking of interesting, I will be giving my thoughts on Hard Knocks later on at the end of the show, because I did watch Hard Knocks. I actually watched it again today. So I want to give my thoughts on it. So let's get into the game from Friday. It is what it is. Just like the Raiders game, Miami and the Raiders, Miami needs to learn how to play those games. As a Dolphin fan for so many years, I've watched the Dolphins, the Raiders game especially. That was a game that any Miami team pre-Tua would have lost that game. Hell, let me not even say pre-Tua. Any Miami team pre-last year would have lost that Raiders game. They would have found a way to snatch defeat from the hands of victory. So I love the coaching aspect that Mike McDaniel didn't let them get beside themselves, and they were able to close it out. Likewise with this Jets game. You go up to the Jets, you're playing on a short week, you're playing your AFC East rivals, and you're playing a team that actually has a really fantastic defense in spite of their putrid offense. And we're going to get into that offense. Oh my goodness. I thought the Pittsburgh Steelers had a terrible offense. My goodness. You can't get much worse than what the Jets put out there on the field. And you could say, they started Boyle over Boyle, whatever his name is. They started him over Zach Wilson. It wouldn't have mattered. That offense is putrid. And the Dolphins defense feasted on them, and they did exactly what they were supposed to do. You heard Mike McDaniel say 7 sacks from this defense that in the past few weeks has really, really started to come on. Like, the Dolphins defense is now being what we imagined them to be at the beginning of the season. Because at the beginning of the season, everybody was saying, the Dolphins defense is going to be top 10. Nobody knew that we didn't know the offense was going to take off the way it did, but the offense has regressed a little. But now the defense is like, all right, y'all held us down the first half of the season. Now just ride us into the playoffs. So, and the Dolphins defense, man, I mean, with Jalen Ramsey, it like he literally just cuts off one side of the field, and they aren't throwing at him. And when they do get desperate and throw at him, it's normally a pick or a pass breakup, or they get off the field. The guy is everywhere. You put that with Javon Holland, you got X on the other side. I mean, the Miami Dolphins defense is coming to light. Now, we did lose a tremendous piece to that defense. Man, it hurt me so bad that we lost Jalen Phillips out for the year with an Achilles tear. And you saw when it happened. I mean, they showed it, and you just saw the pop right then and there. And that guy's been playing lights out ever since he came back from injury. He has took command of the defense, and he causes turnovers. He's a sack machine. He had an interception last week. I mean, this guy just he's like Andrew Van Ginkel. Like, they're always around the ball. Just ball players, got a nose for the ball. So this is gonna suck without Jalen Phillips. So hopefully it's time for Agba to step up. Agba is a very serviceable player. I mean, it's next man up. It's the NFL. Everybody has injuries. Everybody's going down left and right. Since we're on injuries, let's just stay on injuries. Teron Armstead, again, out indefinitely with a quad injury. At this point, I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know what to say. I don't know where we go from here. They can't cut him. I mean, because his cap hit would be ridiculous. I know people are talking about him retiring just because the injuries are piling up, but hopefully it's not as serious as we thought, and he gets better, because we're really going to need him down the stretch. I mean, that O-line has literally been being held up with chewing gum. Hopefully Robert Hunt will be back soon. Our O-line is where we're starting to really feel the hurt. But I will say the O-line held up really good against this vaunted Jets defense. Like, everybody was telling me about how great the Jets defense is, and I was even saying it because I'm like, well, damn, there's no way the Jets could beat Philly, but it's their defense. You know what I mean? There's no way the Jets should beat Buffalo, but it's their defense. So when Miami now goes to play the Jets and made the defense look foolish, I mean, in this game, and we'll get to our turnovers, but Miami literally tried everything they could do to keep the Jets in this game. 3 turnovers, again, another 3 turnovers is not good. You got to clean that up. I mean, it's not good. It's not. 3 turnovers don't win you a championship. Against that Jets defense, which is great. Luckily, their offense is so putrid. Giving them a turnover is basically like just flipping the field. And we basically played the field position game. Tua again, like I said from the beginning, and I've always said, Tua is good for one good BS pass. And I don't know what he saw in that pass to Waddle. He tried to get it all in one shot. Interception. You had a pick 6, which is really what kept the Jets in the game. I mean, because it was 10-0. It was 10-0. Miami was going in for another score, at least a field goal. You get the pick 6. Then the most craziest thing in the world happened. They're now calling it the Fail Mary in New York. So New York has about maybe 10 seconds left on the clock. So, hey, they're going to go for broke, and they throw a Hail Mary. Javon Holland's waiting right there on the 1-yard line. Boom. Intercepts. You think he's just going to run it and just fall down? No. Javon Holland just matter-of-factly takes that ball back 99 yards the other way for a touchdown. Completely changed the dynamic of the game, because now you took from what was going to be 10-6 going into half to now 17-6, and Miami got the ball back. So Am I freezing up? It looks like, oh man, looks like I'm freezing up there. At least it looks like on my screen that I'm freezing up. Let me see what's going on here. All right. So yeah, you took Miami gets the ball back. And customary from what Miami does all year, they like to defer to the second half. They get the ball back because 9 out of 10 they score going into halftime, and then they come out to score again to really put the game out of reach. But that didn't happen. I think that's when you got the other turnover. So there you have it. But let's get into the stats of the game. Looks like my screen is freezing up. It's raining outside, so I don't really know what's going on. But let's get into the stats of the game, and then we'll get into the hard knock review, and then we'll get out of here. So where are we? All right. So Tua was 21 of 30, 243 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He has to clean those interceptions up. I'll be his biggest critic when it comes to that. Tua, again, relies on his arm too much. And a lot of times, instead of checking down, he'll try to go for the big play and get it all in one shot. And it normally turns out bad for us. But let's see where Tua is for the year. Let's see Tua's stats. Yeah, let me get Tua's stats. All right, I don't know what's going on here, but we'll get back to his stats. I think he's at 22 touchdowns, like 10 interceptions right now. So he's like third in touchdowns in the league. But he has to clean up those interceptions. He has to clean those interceptions up. You had Tyreek Hill. Jalen Waddle had 8 catches, 114 yards. Tyreek Hill, he had what? He had 9 catches, 102 yards, 1 touchdown. So Tyreek Hill is well on his way, barring anything serious happening, well on his way to getting close to knocking at the door to that 2,000 yards with 6 games left. I think he literally only had to average another 100 yards a game to comfortably get the record, because right now he's over 1,300 yards right now he's over 1,300 for the season. And I don't know why I'm on NFL. I'm trying to see. I want to see their stats. I want to see why they won't show me his stats. All right, I'll get that up later. But okay, let's look at it here. Pro Football Reference. So right now, Tyreek Hill has 88 receptions, 1,324 receiving yards, 10 touchdowns. So he literally needs 660. So if he averages like 110 receiving yards a game going forward, he'll more than, he'll comfortably get the receiving record. So, but yeah, that's where we stand. Raheem Mostert, another touchdown. The running game between Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert had like 160 plus rushing yards. To the Jets, I think the Jets had less than 50 yards rushing, and that's with Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook made an appearance, which, man, my goodness, are we happy that Dalvin Cook we didn't get him. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say he's washed. Maybe he's not washed. Maybe he's just not getting the opportunity, but he isn't maximizing any of the opportunity that he's getting. So, but again, Miami has to clean up on those penalties. Those penalties, not the penalty. Well, they got to clean up on penalties too, but those turnovers, it hasn't hurt us yet, but I'm thinking big picture now. You can't play the Ravens turning the ball over 3 times. They're gonna get you. You can't play Jacksonville turning the ball over 3 times. They're gonna get you. It's gonna come back and bite you in the behind. So you really can't do that. I mean, Miami has to clean this up. The coaching staff has to teach these guys, hey, teach Tua mainly. If it's not there, just throw it away. I'm gonna tell y'all, like watching football with me is the craziest thing in the world. So before, when it comes in a critical down, so say it'll be like third down, maybe 3rd and 8 or something like that. Critical. Miami needs to move the chains. I always stand up in front of the TV and I always say, Tua, see it before you do it. That's always what I say to him. I know he can't hear me, but it's just a stupid football fan thing. I'm like, see it before you do it, because it seems to me like his anticipation sometimes, he's just like, man, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna go for it. And sometimes that doesn't work at all. So, that's the problem. That's the problem that we end up with sometimes dealing with Tua. So, and I do want to go before we get into the Hard Knocks review. So I guess none of my partners want to come up today. That's fine. I'm gonna end the show soon. It's all good. Like I said, it is raining and it seems like I'm having some type of issues, but I do want to go around the league. Let's look at the scores from around the league. Week 12 of the NFL. So the Thursday game, you did have the Packers defeating the Lions 29-22. That was a good game, man. Very, very, very shocking at the result of that one. The Cowboys easily dismantled the Commanders 45-10. And we do have the Cowboys coming. I mean, we do have the Commanders coming up this week for the good guy Miami Dolphins. The 49ers 31-13 victory over the Seahawks. And the aforementioned good guys, Miami Dolphins over the Jets, 34-13. So 34 points on that vaunted defense. That defense that held Philly, that defense that held Buffalo, that defense that holds seemingly everybody to maybe less than 20 points. Miami put up 34 on them. So, I mean, you say what you want. You say what you want about Miami. Oh, we haven't played a team over 500. We haven't beat blah, 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 whatever. Hey, you play who's on your schedule. And the last time I heard, the Jets defense was very, very good. You do have the Colts 27-20 winners over the Bucks. Bones is not gonna like that. And I'm gonna get back to this one. You had the Steelers and what could have been, I think, had to be an offensive explosion. I'm saying that very, very tongue in cheek. The Steelers with a 16-10 victory over the Bengals. The Titans 17-10 over the Panthers in a thriller. Oh man, CJ Stroud has to be Offensive Rookie of the Year. Hell, he might be in MVP running this season also. But you had the Jaguars holding out 24-21 over the Texans after Amendola missed a 58-yard field goal, which literally touched the bottom of the post and just fell out. So he had the distance. It just didn't clear. I think it was like a yard, extra yard. It would have cleared it easily. You have the Saints losing to the Falcons 24-15. 24-15. That was a score in the Florida State Seminoles victory over the Florida Gators last night. And shout out to the Seminoles losing Jordan Travis. Still going out there beating up on your in-state rival with a backup quarterback. The Seminoles are now 12-0 for the first time in a long time. We got the ACC title game against Louisville next week. Who knows how it's going to go? And the committee's not going to vote Florida State in regardless without Jordan Travis, because they say we don't have a chance without him. But shout out to the Seminoles, man. A 12-0 perfect season. Let's go win the ACC and let's see where the chips may fall, man. Fantastic coaching job by Mike Norvell. I thought for sure that guy wasn't going to last, man, but he got those guys to buy in. So right now in the late games, you have the Cardinals up over the Rams 8-7. That's a crazy score. You have the Broncos over the Browns right now 7-0. The Bills and Eagles are tied. The Raiders are up 7-0 against the Chiefs. And tonight you have the Ravens versus the Chargers. And on Monday night, you have the Bears versus the Vikings. Ugh, that's gonna be what they say, bowling shoe ugly. I could tell you. So there you have it. Miami does play Washington next week, and I'm looking forward to be another dogfight. I mean, there is no easy games, there is no easy victories in the NFL. And you got to go out there and you got to play your game. You got to go out there and you got to do your thing. You got to go out there and you just got to, what Al Davis says, you just got to win, and you can let the chips fall where they are. Right now, the Dolphins are 8-3. We were 8-3 last year before we went to San Fran, and the whole world just imploded on us. So hopefully this 8-3, Coach Chaz is more well-grounded. Tua is still playing good, but there's a lot that Tua needs to clean up. So speaking of Tua, and we're going to get out of here, but I did watch Hard Knocks. I watched it earlier in the week, and then I watched it again earlier this morning because, you know, the Dolphins had already played, so there wasn't really any game that I was interested in watching. So just my real quick thoughts about Hard Knocks. I thought Hard Knocks was a really good show. I hadn't watched Hard Knocks since the original one that came out, wow, long time ago. So this Hard Knocks picks up after the bye week. So this picks up after the Patriot game, and then Miami went into the bye. So it picks off from there. So they're all in the meeting room. And what shocks me, they're in this great big auditorium, all the players, and there's a basketball goal over the door. So you got Tyreek Hill literally waiting for the meeting to start, just nailing jumpers. I mean, just sinking them, none but net. Just this guy's like literally just an athlete through and through, nothing but net, just sinking them, waiting for everybody to come in. So then Coach comes out, Coach McDaniel comes out, and he talks about second phase and, you know, how he's not going to change because the cameras are around. And man, this guy, boy, y'all think I dropped a lot of F-bombs in the beginning of this show? This guy drops F-bombs like nobody's business. But what I will say, and I did hear a lot of people saying this, that it sounded like he was just trying to do it. No, as a person who drops F-bombs, I think it was as natural as possible. Sometimes you need an F-bomb to really drive home what you're saying. So that's what it was. Another interesting thing from the meeting room, Jalen Waddle's just literally just sitting there willy-nilly, just eating a cup of noodles. Like that was, I don't know why that amused me so much, but it just did. And then it flips, and then they show you inside the linebackers room, the running backs room, and the wide receiver room. Then you go to the practice field, and Tyreek Hill is just out there making everybody look stupid. I mean, this guy is so quick, and it doesn't seem like he stops. This guy goes 110 even at practice. Just it was great just to see how hard this guy goes. So then fast forward, now it goes to Tyreek Hill's to his house because he just got married during the bye week. He got married to his girlfriend, beautiful young lady. And they're sitting at the table, and she's talking about like post football, you know, like what is he gonna do? It seems like she's a real estate investor, so they're talking about that. And Tyreek Hill is saying how he had to learn to leave football at the door. And I thought that was very interesting because even me in my everyday life, I had to learn the older I got to stop bringing work home. It's literally work. Once work is over, then it's over. Leave it at the door. Yeah, sometimes you're going to have a game where you're like, damn, that game bothers me. That game haunts me. But he said he had to learn how to leave it at the door so he could be the best father, you know, so he could be the best husband. You know, he has to think about life like outside of football. It's not everything can't consume him like football. So I thought that was really interesting that they would go down that route. So we go back to the facility, and now they're in the quarterback room. So Tua's in the quarterback room with the quarterback coach, and the quarterback coach is now asking him like, "Hey, what's going on? What's that on your head?" Because this is the first time we see do-rag Tua. So you see Tua with the do-rag on, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I got cornrows." He shouts out the name of the girl who did his cornrows and everything, and he's telling buddies like, "Yeah, man, you put this on because you just keep the hair from frizzing up." And then they go to a press conference with the media, and that's all the media wants to talk about is the hair and everything like that. So shout out to Tua, they call him Dua. Shout out to Tua with the do-rag on for that one game though, because he didn't have his hair wasn't braided for the Jets game. I don't know what happened. I guess it was a one-time deal, but his hair was not braided for the Jets game, so he did take that out. But it was just funny to see the media just grilling him on it, and to see that he was the type of guy, just a jokey, jovial guy, because you can't get too much from him just seeing him on the sideline. You don't know. So so they go back to the quarterback room, and now Mike White and Skylar Thompson is in there, and the three of them are sitting there, and I'm like, holy crap, Tua's small compared to these guys. Like, he's a thicker of the three, but they're taller. Like, you look at them and it's like, okay, if I had to build a quarterback, I'd pick these two over him, because their statue. You watch Mike White back there, you watch Skylar Thompson back there. They look like they belong back there, but obviously there's a reason they're 2 and 3 on the depth chart because they're not as good as QB1, but it just, as far as aesthetics, when you look at them, you look at the three, you're like, oh man, that stepped out to me when I saw it. I'm like, holy crap, Tua's small compared to these guys, and Tua's like 6'1", so it's not like he's a little guy, but compared to those other two, so it is. So now they show a clip of, I forget who the ESPN analyst was, but they were criticizing Tua, like, oh, if you get him off his game, and you could easily rattle him, because that's the narrative. You have your Colin Cowherds, you have your Ryan Clarks, you have everybody in sports media. They don't look at the fact that Justin Herbert has a terrible win-loss record. They don't look at the fact that Burrow now has his second season ending injury of his career. But they just want to look at the fact, oh man, Tua threw a bad interception. It's like they just criticize this guy for no reason. I get it. That's what sports media does. You criticize people. That's what you do. That's how you make your money. That's why people come and see. So they showed Tua this clip, and he's like literally just looking at it, and he's just like, okay, yeah, whatever. I don't care. I'll show him. I'll prove him wrong. And he just gets up. I loved it. So matter of fact, he just gets up. So now they're back on the practice field, and they're running through passing drills, and Mike McDaniel is there every step of the way, like, look, I'm trying to show you, if you do this, then you'll get this result. And he's showing Tua, your anticipation is here. You need to do this. Take this step. And just there into his grill. So where Tua's doing what he's telling him to do, now he's out there like, see, look at that. Now it's so much easier to you. And it goes back to a conversation that I had earlier, why I mentioned Bill Belichick and the Patriots. So the Patriots lose again today against the lowly Giants, 7-10. And what was funny about that game, Mac Jones throws an interception. They pull him out, bench him again. So this guy been benched like 10 times. And I've said this matter of factly, based off a conversation we had a few weeks ago. What is his name? What's the guy that looks like Omar Epps for the Steelers? Oh my goodness, what's the Steelers coach? Oh God, I forgot the coach of the Steelers, though. Man, I forgot his name. But anyway, he is a better coach than Bill Belichick, because you can give him any crappy quarterback and he's still going to post winning records. Bill Belichick has yet to prove that he's any good, can sustain a good run minus Brady. You had the 1 year Brady got hurt. They ended up going 11-5 and missing the playoffs still, whatever. And then Mac Jones' first year, they made the playoffs. But they have been crap ever since. And Mac Jones has regressed to a point where I believe his confidence is 100% done. I think his confidence is completely shattered. I doubt he'll ever play another game for the Patriots after this season. Why would he want to play for a team like this, where your coach constantly pulls you for a guy that's less talented than you? He doesn't let you work through anything. Bill Belichick is literally riding off of what Tom Brady allowed him to do. And that's my thoughts on that. Hopefully Mac Jones could get somewhere that he can get with some good coaching, a good offensive coordinator, good quarterbacks coach, a coach that actually wants to spend the time with rehabilitating him. And, you know, hopefully they can salvage his career, because Bill Belichick is doing nothing but killing this guy's career. And then everybody's going to tell me, oh, Bill Belichick is the greatest. No, Bill Belichick, anybody, hey, it's easy to look like you got money if you're driving a Rolls Royce. Because if you're driving a Rolls Royce, we just going to assume that you have money, because people with Rolls Royces typically have money, and you need money to get a Rolls Royce. So we're just making the assumption there that Bill Belichick was good all those years because he had Brady. I mean, because the proof is in the pudding. You don't have Brady anymore. Why can't you still be great? Why can't you coach these guys up? I mean, you get Devontae Parker, you get Mike Gesicki, very serviceable players in Miami. They're crap. Like what man, it hurt me so bad that Mike Gesicki isn't in this Dolphins offense right now. I know the problem is he can't block, and we need our tight ends to block. I get it, but Mike Gesicki is a hell of a tight end, and he's going to waste away in New England. I mean, you guys got to stop living in them glory days, the Belichick glory days and all that crap. It's over. I mean, Belichick has been exposed as the fraud. And I don't care how good of a player you are, you need somebody to bring it out of you. It's just like a kid growing up. He may have a lot of potential within him, but if his dad isn't there to say, hey, I see it in you, or I see the king in you, and this and that, to affirm him, then you'll never unlock that potential. And that's what I see is going on with Mac Jones right now. So this was another cool but very depressing, because again, this was before the Raiders game. So we go to a scene where the entire O-line is out eating lunch or dinner. I don't know what it was, but Teron Armstead is there just hyping them up. And you got, they're talking about defending Max Crosby, because they're like, all right, what we're going to do with Max Crosby. And, Kendall Lamb is like, well, wait a minute. Y'all not talking about us enough, and it just, what was depressing about it is to see Teron Armstead knowing the news now that he's out indefinitely with another injury. Man, just watching him walk is very painful, because it's just crazy to watch all the pain that this guy must be going through. So then they go, speaking of Max Crosby, so now they're game planning, and McDaniel is like, man, this guy's a terror. He's like, I've never seen him before, but this guy's a terror. So what they did, they start breaking down all of Max Crosby's plays. So, which was great, because what they would do is they had a practice squad linebacker. I want to make sure I know his name. Quentin Bell. So they had Quentin Bell simulating Max Crosby, meaning after every play they had on video that Max Crosby, no matter if the play was over or not, he'd go bump the quarterback. Or he'd hit the quarterback. He'd push him. He'd do something, always to let the QB know that he was there. So as they're running these drills, they got Quentin Bell doing the same thing to Tua. So he could expect, like, hey, you're going to get this. Don't think that once you get the ball off, protect yourself. This guy's still coming for you. So I thought that was really good. And it showed, because outside of the first few snaps, Max Crosby didn't do much in the second half. He did not do much in the second half. Now, I like how when they went to the game, they showed highlights of the game, and they had Tyreek Hill telling Jalen Waddle, like, oh, man, we didn't plan for him. Like, that's a different animal. He might be the best player in NFL. They're talking about Crosby, just how good he was in the beginning. But they neutralized him pretty quick once they started, putting the extra blocker over there and things like that. And then the greatest part of the show was we go back into the conference room, and you got linebacker coach Anthony Campanile is in there, and he shows a quote from Vince Lombardi on the screen, and then he goes into 2 minutes of the greatest motivational, profanity laden speech you're ever going to hear in your life. And he was saying how the one universal language is an ass whooping. He was like, you can go to Greece and watch a guy get his ass whooped, and everybody will know what that means. And when he said that, like, the light just went off in Tyreek Hill's head. He was like, oh, man, bro. Hey, y'all got to go back and watch that speech, man. He was so turned up. It wasn't even funny. I mean, this guy was just going off, man. He was like just about ass whooping, and then they just kept saying, they were saying the whole rest of the meeting, like, ass whoopings are universal. Ass whoopings are universal. So he really stuck with that. And then they get into the game and they're just showing game highlights. So you see where Tyreek Hill hurt his hand. So I thought the hurt hand was at 4th and 1 backwards pass, but his hand was hurting before that. The 4th and 1 backwards pass just made it hurt worse. And when you're on the sideline and you're watching this and you see them telling Tyreek Hill, like, hey, we got to do this, and he's like, no, I'm not coming out of the game. He was like, I'll just catch the ball with my body. Like, he's literally telling them, hey, I'm not coming out of this game. And he's on the sideline. You got Robbie Chosen trying to motivate him. And he's like, bro, I know, just getting frustrated as hell. Not pissed at Robbie, but he's like, hey, man, I'm on this record pace, man, and my team needs me. So anyway, doctor comes and tells McDaniel, he's like, hey, we put some splints in there. We taped it up. And he can catch, he's all good. And out comes Tyreek catching bombs like nothing ever happened. Nothing to see here. The guy is an absolute monster. Never seen anything like it. I mean, I just don't know. I've never seen anything like it. I never thought that this trade would have been paid off this much. But the Tyreek Hill trade and the Jalen Ramsey trade will probably go down as the 2 greatest trades in Miami Dolphin history. Even bigger than Ricky Williams. It's awesome. Like what these guys are doing, what these guys are doing and bringing to this team. So, and last on Hard Knocks, what I like. So the Raiders got the ball back. 4th quarter, less than 2 minutes, trying to get the tie-in score. And they put a focus of emphasis on Bradley Chubb, because the 4 possessions they got Chubb mic'd up, and they got Chubb. The spotlight is on Chubb, and every time Chubb doesn't make the play, you can see him getting more and more frustrated. Like, damn, I just missed, and I just thought that was such a great bit of storytelling, first of all, but just great camera work that they just isolated him out just to show that, hey, I want to be the reason why we win this game. I want to put the pressure on. And then on that 4th down, he got the pressure in, which caused I forget the kid's name, to throw up the ball. And then Jalen Ramsey with the athletic jump out of the gym interception to seal the game. And that's how the show ended. No, the show didn't end that way. So they win, and the show ends with Tua walking in the tunnel. And this is what I love. I heard this about him a lot, but to actually see it. So they show Tua walking in the tunnel, and Tua just he doesn't look happy at all. I mean, this guy just threw 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 350 plus yards, but not looking happy at all. And he literally looks at the team and he says, it was my fault. I got to get better. I gotta be better. I gotta do better. I can't turn the ball. I can't put you guys in that position. And even in the locker room, Dan Marino's in there waiting for him. And he's like, he calls him Uncle Dan. He was like, hey, what's up, Uncle Dan? Dan Marino hugs him. And he's like, listen, Dan Marino told him, he's like, listen, you got to let that go. He said, put that behind you. You walk away with those wins, you put it behind you, and you move on. And you can see the look on his face when he gave Stephen Ross a high five. Yeah, funny, Stephen Ross would be in there now. Stephen Ross didn't want the guy, but whatever. You ride him because he's winning now. But and he just, the whole time he's just sitting there and he's just like, man, he said like he blew it. Like he's literally putting, I guess he was saying the game shouldn't even been as close as it was. The only reason the game was as close as it was because of his bad play, which I don't think he played bad at all. I think he played worse in this Jets game than he did in the Raiders game. So I'm very interested to see what he says about this game. But hey, the guy's taking accountability. The team is 100% behind him. I know like 2 years ago, there were rumors that the team didn't believe they could win with him. And, you had those veteran players that wanted to be traded because they didn't want to waste their career away playing with him. And this team is 100% behind him, and they go as he goes. And the fact that your quarterback is going to your defensive players and telling them, thank you for bailing me out because I played bad, says a lot. And the way that they were picking him up and lifting him up, I just felt like that was just great, man. So there it is. There is your Hard Knocks. I don't know what day it comes on. I think it comes on like a Tuesday or something, but nevertheless, I'll be watching it again and do another review next week on episode 2. But hey, I'm looking at the clock and it is time for me to get out of here. We did take a week off and we will be back full schedule next week. I will give some updates to some lineup changes tomorrow on Man Talk Monday, but be sure to tune in tomorrow at 5:45 p.m. for the best show on YouTube on a Monday night. Man Talk Monday, brought here exclusively to you by the Straight Talk Society. So again, I appreciate you guys for coming by. Thanks to those who watch in the clouds. Please make sure and hit the like, share, and subscribe button. To everybody else, enjoy the rest of your football. Enjoy your week at work. Hey, we go back to work. Break time is over. We go back to work tomorrow. So everybody be safe, man. Until tomorrow, I'll see you guys for Man Talk Monday. Peace.